Now, Jeff, why did you decide to come and play football here at the University of Chicago?
Well, I had kind of an interesting recruiting process. I was hurt. I had a recurring hamstring injury my junior and senior year in high school. So I missed my entire junior season and most of my senior season. So I was getting recruited by a lot of Division I schools, a couple of the Ivy League schools. But Coach Maloney had kind of continued to recruit me throughout the process when a lot of these schools stopped recruiting me because of my injury. And that was something that played a huge factor in me deciding to come to the University of Chicago. He told me from day one when he started recruiting me as a sophomore that he wanted me to come, be the starting kicker for the next 4 years. That loyalty that he had in continuing to recruit me despite my injury, despite a lot of coaches, deciding to go with another guy, really played a huge factor in me coming here. So.
You were a punter in high school, but you kind of made yourself into a kicker as well in college. Talk a little bit about those early experiences your freshman year and some big games, and was that a big challenge for you?
Yeah, definitely. I kicked a little bit in high school, but nothing more than a couple extra points and stuff like that. I was recruited primarily as a punter, and when I got here, Coach Maloney turned me into a kicker. Essentially, he wanted me to handle both responsibilities. And yeah, in my very first college game, my first field goal attempt was a 37-yarder from the right hash to tie the game to send it into overtime. And luckily I hit the ball pretty cleanly, and it went in off the right upright and in as time expired. And I think that kick specifically helped my confidence throughout my college experience, because if I hadn't made that first field goal attempt, I might have had very different type of success on the football field here. And yeah, just they're very different motions. A lot of people think punting and kicking are very interchangeable. They're not. There's a lot of practice, but I think I played soccer growing up. That had a huge role in me. It was kind of an easy adjustment becoming the place kicker and the punter here. But I enjoy both. That was another main reason in me picking U Chicago, was the ability to both punt and place kick rather than just punt.
Now, you had off-season knee surgery on your meniscus right before this season. What was your regimen in order to bounce back quickly, and were you worried at any point that you might not be full strength right away?
Yeah, definitely. I tore my meniscus in my kicking leg playing a pickup game of basketball back in July, and I had knee surgery right away. We were real worried for a while that whether or not I was going to be able to play this season. The thought had occurred to me to redshirt and rehab completely and get healthy and then come back and play as a fifth year senior. But I think it was a tough rehabilitation process, and that everything was sort of accelerated because I had to be back healthy for the first game. But at the end of the day, I wanted to play my senior year with my class that I came in here with, and given that it's Division III and not Division I, there wasn't even a guarantee that I was going to get to play a fifth year or anything like that. So that I used that as sort of motivation to make sure I got back on the field in time and healthy enough to have a good senior season.
And Coach Maloney says you're quite the gym rat. You and Alex Zerbicki are working out all the time. He says you're one of the strongest guys pound for pound. Is that something that you really is really important to you? I mean, even though you're not necessarily out there tackling guys, you still want to be in shape?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big hobby of mine. I love working out. I love lifting weights, and me and Alex get after it in the gym every day. And I think that did play a huge role in my speedy recovery. I think my body was prepared for the task at hand, and I wasn't necessarily getting back into shape. I really was just getting my knee back into shape, and I was well prepared for the season way before the injury even happened, and I think that made the rehabilitation process that much easier.
Now, coming up, you got your final collegiate game that you're going to play this week against Wash U. what are some of the emotions that you're feeling? What do you think you're going to feel like during the game and after the game?
It's definitely going to be emotional. It's the last 4 years. I've lived and breathed football. It's my favorite pastime. It's what I love to do. Given that I punt and kick, I'm not going to necessarily know when my last play is. So I think I'm just going to embrace every opportunity I have to go out on the field. I'm going to treat every punt and every extra point field goal as if it's the last time I'm going to be on the field doing it. There's no better way to end my collegiate career, I say, than against WashU. They're our biggest rival, and it's always a good game when we play them, and they always give us a good battle. So probably have a couple of punts and hopefully a couple of field goals too.
Now, your dad went to WashU, your mother went to Chicago. I mean, is there any tension in the household leading up to this game about that? Who do you think he's going to be cheering for?
He'll definitely be pulling for us. Yeah, he's one of our biggest fans. He's at every game. I think the only rivalry my parents have going on is deciding, who got the better academic experience. WashU and Chicago are rivals on and off the football field. But yeah, I think they'll both be pulling for Chicago, and it'll be good to have them both at my last game.
What have been some of your favorite aspects of being part of the football team during your 4 years, both on the field and off as well?
I think, as you touched on earlier, get into the weight room with a lot of the guys, my teammates. The primary like weightlifting season is obviously in the off season, but in season 2, when you're in the weight room, you're obviously in there pushing yourself to get better and better, become stronger, faster, just a better football player. And I think when you're lifting with your teammates, there's this just overall sense of we're all in here together, we're all in this together. Like you're pushing each other to get better and better, not just as individual players, but as a team, as a unit. And I think that's been one of my favorite aspects about being here is in the off season. I'm not treated like a punter or kicker, a little scrawny guy in the corner of the room. I'm with my teammates, all working towards a common goal.
Now, you're from the East Coast, and so you came pretty far out here to Chicago, but you also have some teammates from your high school that are also playing here for the football team. Just talk about that a little bit. And it's kind of interesting that, from the same, get a couple guys from the same high school all the way out here in Chicago from the East Coast.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. I hosted John Marshall as a current junior on his recruiting trip. And yeah, Zach Rossnash has obviously been a great addition to the team, but it's definitely been an interesting experience having. Cause I've been playing football with some of these guys, with John in particular, since we were in like 3rd grade. So it's appropriate that he'll be playing in my last game with me, and it's really been a good experience being able to stay close with these guys that I've been friends with since I was a little kid playing football, all the way up until my last football game. And they've both been great additions to the team too. I think it speaks volumes about the type of players they are that Coach Maloney keeps going back to Northern Highlands to, grab the top talent at that school every year.